Hello, magic casters of all shapes and sizes. My name is Chance. Welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into another episode of our Homebrew spell series. This is, technically speaking, the third entry in our Runesmith series. Runesmith, in case you don't know who he is, link in the description, video link in the description as well. He's a renowned, incredibly well-known YouTuber who made a video called 10 Strange Homebrew Spells, and I'm adapting them into an animated format for my viewers. Kind of my way of giving back to the community and kind of helping out a fellow YouTuber to the best of my ability, and he's helping me out in turn, kind of sort of in a weird way. Anyways, I have his permission to do this, so thank you so much, Runesmith. Once again, the link to his channel and a link to the video I'm talking about will be in the description. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most well-known spells he has ever came up with, and this is Egg. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it was his favorite as well, and to be honest, I think it is ridiculously good. Maybe a little bit too good, but we'll get into that a little bit later. It's going to also be worth noting that this spell is adapted from Flying Doom Bunny on D&D Beyond. I'll put a link to his post as well, so you can kind of see what I mean. He basically made my job a little bit easier, so I really do appreciate it. With all that introduction stuff out of the way, let's take a look at its mechanics. Your cast time is a standard 1 action. In the video, Logan says it's 1 egg, but I'm gonna assume he just mispronounced, in which case I believe it's meant to be read as 1 action. The range is self, the duration is instantaneous. The effect at a glance is as followed. You imbue an egg with magic to perform several magical effects determined by rolling 1d6. A 1 makes 1 die 6 worth of eggs. A 2 makes 2 die 6 eggs shoot in a random direction, dealing 1 die 6 damage on a failed dex save. It's going to be worth noting Logan compares these to lightning bolts, which is what I use as kind of how close the spell is, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But if you roll a 3 on that die 6 roll, you hatch 1 die 12 plus 2 chickens that follow you but are hostile if you hatch over 9. If you roll a 4, you make 2 die 8 hard-boiled eggs that heal 2 HP each, which is really good. If you roll a 5, you roll another 1 die 6 and summon a friendly beast. I'll get into what those beasts are a little bit later on. There's just not too much room for me to put them in here. And if you roll a 6, you roll another 1 die 6 and double the result of that roll. The components are material and verbal. The material component is an egg, and the verbal component is actually saying the word egg. And the school is Conjuration, which makes logical sense, right? Fantastic! Now let's take a look at the description. Now, before we get too far along in this, I just want to say this description is one I've been dreading. To be honest, I really struggled on how to animate this. I just kept running out of room, so I really had to simplify it down for you guys. So I am sorry about that, but I think it still does the spell justice, so just bear with me. I really do appreciate it. When you cast Egg, roll a die 6. If you get a 1, you summon 1 die 6 eggs in an unoccupied space that is within 5 feet of you in any direction. Fantastic. Makes sense, right? If you roll a 2, you summon 2 die 6 eggs that shoot in random directions from you. Roll a die 8 for each egg, starting from where you are facing and going clockwise. On a failed dexterity save, a creature within 100 feet is hit with an egg, taking 1 die 6 magic bludgeoning damage. Now, Logan didn't expressly say that the range was 100 feet, but he did compare it to Lightning Bolt, and Lightning Bolt's range is about 100 feet, so that's what I used for mine. So, Logan, if you're listening, that's kind of why I put that in there. I hope you're okay with that. 3, if you roll a 3 that is, the egg you use to cast this spell hatches into 1 die 12 plus 2 chickens. The chickens are friendly to you and your party, but may not be given commands. They kind of just follow you around. However, if the number of chickens summoned is greater than 9, they are instead hostile towards you. So, bear that in mind. They can't attack a lot, or they can't do a lot of damage rather, but if there's over 9 of them, Action economy might actually hoop you if you roll poorly on initiative, so just bear that in mind. If you roll a 4, you summon 2d8 hard-boiled eggs that when consumed restore 2 hit points. I think this is incredibly valuable, and to be honest, this is kind of the roll you're going to want to make. It's kind of the second best roll you can make, in my opinion. Basically, getting you up to 32 hit points that you can kind of consume at any time is really good for just being a second level spell, so bear that in mind. And if you roll a 5, this is arguably the one you want to aim for, especially if you're in a position where you're in combat. You summon 1 large egg. Roll a die 6. The egg hatches a friendly beast. If you get a 1, it's 1 die 4 eagles, which are pretty good in of themselves. If you get a 2, it's a giant owl. A 3 is a crocodile. A roll of a 4 will get you a spider swarm. A roll of a 5 will get you 1 die 4 flying snakes. And a roll of a 6 would generate a giant chicken, which uses the giant eagle stat block. So needless to say, it's pretty dang good. And if you roll a 6, you roll another die 6, and the effects on that roll you had just made are doubled. So between 5 and 6, 4, 5, 6 in general are kind of the best ones. 2 is also really interesting in terms of combat, but for the most part, 4, 5, 6 are what you're going to want to be aiming for here. In any case, let's move on to some alternative uses here, and I'll give you my personal thoughts on this spell as well. So in terms of alternative uses, this spell is a great kind of Swiss Army knife of randomness. Essentially, no matter what you get, it's pretty safe to assume it's going to be beneficial towards you. A couple things worth noting here are if you get a 2 and you shoot out those eggs, it doesn't expressly say that, sadly, doesn't expressly say that your party members are not going to be damaged as well, so you're really only going to want to use that in dire circumstances. I guess it's random, so you don't really have much of a choice, but ideally, you're going to be surrounded by people. But it is just a Swiss Army knife of useful spells, and to be honest, it works really well if you want to cast it on a short rest. I wouldn't cast it if you were too badly hurt, just because the chickens or the random shooting eggs might actually do more damage than intended. But on a short rest, I think this is a great way to help get back any hit points that your hit die might have missed, or summon an animal companion for a little bit for you. I really do like it. In terms of my personal thoughts, I would probably not allow this in my game, certainly not as a second level spell. To be honest, I might allow it in my game through the form of an item, like a ring or charm with a limited number of uses, something like that. I think that'd be a fair way to go about it. But that being said, I suppose you can always modify it a little bit differently. Let me know down beneath if you'd allow it in your game. If you would, how would you go about it? How would you modify it? As well as share any ideas in terms of alternative uses or cool stories or anything like that. I really do appreciate it. Naturally, and I know it kind of goes without saying at this point, but this is a homebrew spell, so it doesn't exist in any real context. So I would run it past your DM without a shadow of a doubt if it's something you're even curious about picking up. To be honest, most DMs already know of its existence anyways, but we'll just always play to what the DM would prefer in terms of common courtesy, Also, Logan, if you're watching this, thank you so much for letting me do this. It means a lot to me, and thank you so much, Flying Doom Bunny, as well, for, just helping make my job a little bit easier. I'd also like to take a quick moment to thank our patrons here: Marcos G. Guzman Jr., Reina, Tanner Frazier, Kenny Garcia, Bruce T, Tato Seal, and Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate your support. It's been unbelievable. If you'd like to chat with myself and a couple of the patrons I just mentioned, please check out our daily live streams from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We try and do them every day, but every once in a while life will kind of get in the way of that. But I always update our communities tab when I'm not able to make it, so just please check there if I'm going to be running late or if we're not doing one at all. I really appreciate that. Also, if you like that cool hand-drawn Dragonborn picture and you'd like your own D&D hand-drawn picture of your character, please check out our Patreon videos to figure out exactly how to do that. That being said, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy casting.